welcome to our third episode of our podcasting Happy Gringo. Today we're going to talk about some adventure tours in Ecuador with our top adventure guide, which is Christian, who's joining today. And he's going to tell us about his experiences or tours around Ecuador and more activities that you can do in Ecuador mainland. So Chris, welcome.
Hello Danny, and thank you Happy Gringo for welcoming to this podcast. I am Christian Valencia. I was born and raised in the city of Quito in the Ecuadorian Andes, and for the last 20 years I've been an adventure specialist and guiding adventure tours. I think my passion is really the outdoor activities, especially at the moment mountain biking and kayaking, and I think there's something special about connecting with local communities, and through ecotourism and doing outdoors is just the best we can do to see more and explore more our beautiful nature.
Awesome. And in the first part of this video we're going to focus on biking, all right? And we recently actually joined a trip with you. Starting from Pichincha and down to Tandayapa Cloud Forest. And what makes Ecuador a unique destination for biking compared to other countries?
Well, I think Ecuador is really special for mountain biking because of its location. We are on the equator and on the Ecuadorian Andes. So you can imagine, first we have the landscape, second we have the ancient paths or ancient trails, and we have also the local people that make always a difference. Mountain biking in Ecuador is not known, I think, around the world, but we have so much potential that we can offer.
Thank you. And during our fam trip, you mentioned that downhill biking is very popular in Ecuador. So can you tell us more about that, and also which biking routes in Ecuador are the most popular among travelers?
I think for downhill, Ecuador is a great place, and this is because we have so many volcanoes. Remember back in the 1800s, Alexander von Humboldt mentioned that Ecuador had many active volcanoes next to each other in a small region. You can find many of these giants, and all of them have access. This is the avenue of volcanoes. So it's easy to take shuttles or to take transportation to most of the base camps or also higher areas where you can get drop off and then start riding down. There are paths or there are roads depending on the level, of course, that people are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, like, depend on the levels and the experience probably, like the people should have, right? I think like last time we had a very experienced traveler who was looking for a lot of adrenaline, and I think he went to Pichincha to do the downhill ride, to do the
Teleférico.
Teleférico, yeah.
Exactly. This was amazing. I actually went guiding him, and it's so amazing to have just in the city of Quito, from the business district, this area where we have the hotels. You just drive for about 15-20 minutes and then you get to the complex. This is a unique place in the world because you take the gondola, it's got the rack for the bikes, of course, and then you go to the top in about 20 minutes more or less, and then you do this amazing descent from 4,000 meters. You have a descent of about 1,000 meters back to the bottom, and you have this is downhill, like technical, so people need experience to do this one, of course, but just to have the city, the view in the background is amazing.
And it was, I mean, like you could do it in the same day, right? Because it's in Quito and it's, as you say, it's super near, and you could do it in, it's like a full day, right? 8 hours, 6 hours?
Actually, it's probably less, because the first time you ride, it takes about 30 minutes. But 30 minutes because of explanations. Is a guide I like to explain how the next part of the trail is going to be. So you stop many times also for pictures, but there's competitions going down this trail, and the record is like 6 minutes.
Wow.
So you can, with guests, we normally ride as many times as they want to, With this guest, we did it 4 times, and then we were just ready for some lunch and some beer. So we finished the trip by 3 p.m. I think. He was back at the hotel.
Okay, so for many participants, biking is a first-time experience. And how do you adapt your tours for different skill levels? And could you also share some tips or recommendations for someone biking in Ecuador for the very first time?
We have to tell our guests that our trips are not competitions. Our trips are journeys to have a good time on 2 wheels. So we adapt. As a guide, I can tell you that I always do a briefing before every ride, and we explain to people how it's going to be, technical wise and also distance wise, but our trips are very flexible. We have car support most of the time, and if we're not close to the car, we're still connected by radio. So in the case people want to do just the downhill or just the flat, we connect with the driver so they can enjoy the ride from the car. And the guide, of course, continues with the people riding. And also, sometimes people want to do more uphill, so that's also optional. Because in our Happy Gringo site, you can see our trip bike in Ecuador volcanoes. There are distances and elevation gains, but people can ride more. I mean, there's an average of about, let's say, 40 Ks per day. But people, if they want to add 10 or 20 Ks, it is possible. We just ride more in the car and more by bike.
Awesome. And here is some more technical questions for bike lovers, which is what type of bike do you recommend for Ecuador's diverse terrain? And we also know that you use e-bikes for some of your tours. Can you tell us more about how they are used and what advantages they offer?
I think depends very much in the trip because you have, for example, in mountain biking, you have colors that represent each technical skill. For example, when it's green, you can use a bike that is a hardtail because you're not going to have drops. There's single track, but you're not going to have drops or the terrain is not going to be that rocky. But when you have like blue trails, then you are involved in some drops that can be up to 50 centimeters and the terrain can be more rocky. So in this case, you need a full suspension bike. And of course, for people that want to do downhill, they need a suspension that has a bigger suspension in the bike. For e-bikes, it's lovely to have e-bikes in the Andes because this way people can ride more, discover more, and do less effort. In this case, also when using e-bikes, you can connect lodges. So I mean, you can do a kind of bike packing. So you can easily do like up to 70 Ks with no problem because you are not gonna do much effort.
Awesome. And do you have a favorite biking trail in Ecuador, and what makes it special for you?
I really think my favorite trail is Cotopaxi. Cotopaxi volcano is because it's so unique. You can imagine Cotopaxi being one of the highest volcanoes we have in Ecuador, well, in South America. So it's the landscape, but it's also Cotopaxi gives you the advantage of having many different rides. For example, we have the most typical cross-country ride, which is around the volcano. It's off the beaten path. You see wildlife. I actually had one puma encounter one time right in front of my bike. So even though it's not that far from Quito, my city, Cotopaxi is like deep in nature, we can say. And that's just the cross-country ride, because we also have one of my favorite downhill trails of all times is Cotopaxi, because you can drive up to almost to the base camp, I mean the parking lot, and then you normally push your bike close to 4,900 meters, so close to 5,000 meters, and then there's a technical descent that one time I did speed of 90 k's per hour.
Wow. Just
going so fast down, and it's pretty cool because you go sliding in the sand, you can see all the volcanic material around yourself, and there's many trails like this. So for me, Cotopaxi is always the best one.
90 kilometers, that's awesome.
Super fast.
Indeed. And how many years you have of experience doing mountain biking?
Well, I've been guiding adventure tours for almost 20 years. Almost 20 years. I've had of course, my times of kayaking, a little bit of rock climbing. I do trekking as well. But mostly, if you ask me what I like the best at the moment, is leading mountain biking trips.